95% of the things we do are unconscious. They just happen. It's like a program running in the background. We don't have to think about brushing our teeth in the morning when it's just a part of our lives. This program shapes your life. It's your belief system. It's built on deep convictions formed in the past, often during early childhood. As these beliefs were formed unconsciously, most people never have actively influenced on what things they believe. So this program of your past creates your ego. It's a construct that lives through the past and seeks through the present moment salvation in the future. Usually the future is a replica of the past. Superficial changes are possible, but real transformation is rare and depends on whether you can become present enough to dissolve the past by accessing the power of now. Eckhart Tolle. This isn't you, it's a false self, a part of the mind you're identified with and pretend to be. You formed an identity based on your past and based on the things that the people around you tell you. You live in a certain country, you have cultural conditions, you have a name, you have certain events that make you to the person or made you to the person you are right now. And so you build a false self around these things because you are not your past, but ultimately it's what most people are identified with, the past. It's like a phantom. You play a role over and over, and therefore you always create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You always fulfill or recreate what you are inside. And if you're unconscious and if you're dominated by negative beliefs, because if you're unconscious, negativity will dominate. So if you want to change, you have to make these negative patterns conscious, otherwise they will hold you back your whole life. Because most people never get out of identification with the false self. They never really start to live. They play their role over and over and think that they can change nothing because it's just the way life is. Or they think that they didn't deserve to live life they want. So you pick up beliefs through events mainly in early childhood, and you start to believe the things, and as you're young you try to make a picture or try to understand how life works. And that's that's a lifelong process, but you have to stay open-minded. And throughout childhood most people get closed-minded because they think life is just the way it is and they can't change anything about it. So what you believe inside reflects on your life situation. As within, so without. So if you never became conscious through happiness, love, and peace, are therefore beyond your current reach. The fact is that you can change the way you think. You can change the way you see the world, because the world is not the way it is, but the way you see it. If outer circumstances, certain events, certain things people said to you, can change your way you think about life, in a way you can undo that and reprogram your mind for living a life in abundance and peace. So most people try to change the life on the surface level. I see the surface level as the physical reality, and if you never connect to the depth, it's the vertical dimension, every change you try to make in your life is just a scratch on the surface. So step one towards a new self starts inside. You change the way you believe yourself to be. You change your belief system. The belief system that brought you to where you are right now. If it is so easy, why does not everyone do that? First, they don't know it, or second, they're too ignorant, and two, they don't want to let go of their self, because it can be painful and frightening to recognize that what you thought yourself to be is just an illusion. And they don't want to let go of that, and that's why they recreate their negative situations over and over. That's why certain people attract abusive partners, for example, because they had certain events in the past and they attracted. They needed somehow to reinforce their or to get what they want, but they don't really have a choice unless you make it conscious, and that can be painful. See your false self as a living entity. This entity has a certain frequency, and unless it's conscious, it's most likely negative. And it needs the same energy to survive. So if you enter or go beyond this negative self, your old self will die, of course, and it will try to pull you down. So there will be many test situations before you actually arrive or create a new baseline. And for me, that's also a really challenging thing, to not fall back into old behavior patterns. That's as these patterns develop over my whole life. So unless you work on it, everything is fine, because you do something and it takes time to create a new self. And it will always be like you start here and you get up and you fall down, but you don't get to where you were at the start. So it's always you work yourself up, and one day you'll never fall back down here. So it's a process, and you'll make mistakes, and to accept making mistakes and not being perfect is a great way to start, because you're a human being and you have to learn, and as you gain experiences you become smarter and wiser. One day you will stop make the same mistakes. I mean, Edison, as he invented the lighting bulb, all we see now is he the great inventor, but we don't see the 10,000 failures he had until he finally succeeded and had the lightning bulb that works in his hand. Don't expect to never make mistakes again. Instead of getting rid of the old self and trying to avoid doing certain things or getting into certain situations, you have to actively expose yourself to new situations and to new projects that automatically pull you into the new frequency. So actions and things that bring you into the new frequency. It's not fighting against your old self, but embrace the new self. And that's to start. That's why it is so important for me. I find it extremely important to have a vision, to have a certain direction you want to move in, and your vision will evolve over time as you evolve as a human being, as you go along the way. But you will never evolve as a human being if you never go on the way. You will still make mistakes and realize that certain things don't match you, but you have to go through the karma by yourself. You can't just watch tutorials and then do exactly what they did, because that's not your unique life path. Yes, use tutorials, build skills, but in the first place, build projects. Build projects that align with the direction you want to move in. So from now on, become aware of the situation you are and practice acceptance. You already are where you are right now. So only through acceptance, through non-resistance, you can make a long-lasting change. Because fighting against your current situation or your current beliefs won't bring you anywhere. It only reinforces your current state of consciousness. To stop falling back into these old patterns, it helps me to take a step back and stop identifying with my current life situation. It's not everything that is. If you never gave yourself a direction, where do you think you'd end up? You end up somewhere, but not where you want to be. So that's why it is so important to give yourself direction by creating a vision and actively give yourself projects and things to work on to become better and create the life you want, because you are the only person who knows what you want from life. So you have to be proactive instead of passively doing what the system or everything else tells you. I don't want to become the person who always says the evil system, but I'm not against the system, but I'm for independent human beings. And because I think that's what would make the planet Earth such a peaceful place. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Check out my links. Peace.